this talk, I will walk you through my personal experience in developing multi-platform app across multiple Apple platforms using SwiftUI. I hope it helps maybe someone who is, already has an app and want to extend it to adapt to a different platforms, or maybe starting a new project and considering if you should target all different platforms. So yeah, Emmanuel already gave a great presentation. My name is Francesco. My main job is actually, I work as an engineering manager in Japan, but I also consider myself some sort of indie developer. I have a few apps in the App Store. Some people have gardening as a hobby. I like to write apps. So before we start, let's give you some background. It was the morning of WWDC 24. And when I mean for morning, I mean Japan morning. So the WWDC already happened overnight. And while I was commuting to work on the train in the morning, all the news were basically about what's new in iOS 18, all the things that were presented at WWDC, which was great. I'm an Apple developer, so amazing. But I was thinking it would be great if we could group these news together because they all talk about the same topic. And I was like, well, now there is this AI thing. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to just put all the things into the AI and ask it to group them for them. And then I realized, well, maybe, I'm a developer. Maybe I could do that. And so I did. And 1 week later, actually, I was published on the App Store. This was the first MVP. It was a very simple RSS reader. You put the RSS source, and it was able to group sources of the news. Fun fact, there was no AI involved. I actually tried to use AI. I use embeddings or chat completions, but it was very slow. By the time the connection returned, it was like 15 seconds. And it was not reliable. It was always returning different grouping or no grouping at all. So eventually, I just used the old good string comparison algorithm, and that works great. And they're still in the app. You can actually choose what algorithm to use, the threshold. But yeah, the main point is actually was built on Swift and SwiftUI. And I wanted to try to extend it to see how hard it is to also make it available on macOS and visionOS. Why not? It's something new. I never tried visionOS. Maybe it's the future, and I wanted to learn. So I tried. So here is what we're going to talk now. This is the agenda. I will give you some very brief SwiftUI overview. Probably everybody already knows about it. The overview is also written by ChatGPT, so not very deep. Then we actually go through some code on some actual implementation between different platforms. I will actually also show the App Store process between different platforms. And finally, some actual stats and numbers from the app and final takeaways. Before we start, just a note, this is only client-side code. Probably was already clear, but just to specify, my main target platform is iOS. This is because it was where I actually consume the news. So this means that I was OK to have some compromises on macOS or visionOS, but I wanted to focus that a good experience on iOS. And this is a hobby project I just do in my spare time. And that means that the code is really bad. So it's my playground. I don't really care much. Just for learning, and for fun. You can actually download it. It's free. The website is ainews.ninja. There is a subscription model for some AI tools because I need to pay for the APIs, but you can ignore that. OK, so what was my end goal? I really wanted to have a single SwiftUI code base. And I wanted to target iOS, iPadOS, macOS, or visionOS. The main reason is because I'm lazy. And I will repeat this over and over and over in this talk. I really don't like to do really a lot of work. And having only one single SwiftUI was something that I really wanted to try. I set my condition for myself. I didn't want to have platform-specific UI, so the UI should be the same across all platforms. No platform-specific features, so everything should be all platform-agnostic as possible, and no app kit or UI kit unless all this condition was really necessary. I will show you later some cases where I couldn't meet those conditions. The reason behind this is still the same. I'm lazy. I don't want to maintain a multiple version of the same code. They have different features. I just want to be only one source code for everything. OK. Let's be brief about SwiftUI overview, because we all want to get coffee. So SwiftUI, probably you know, it's available on all Apple platforms since many years. New APIs are added every year, and Apple is clearly moving towards SwiftUI as a platform. So what are the pros of SwiftUI? You clearly have a unified codebase across Apple platform, which is great, is what I'm going to show you later in this talk. Some might say live previews, it's a pro. I don't know, debatable. Some people like them, some people have good experience, some other people don't. I will let you be the judge of that. ChatGPT put it there, I leave it there. Modern state management, that's actually great. Like we saw it before, like Chris showed us that, state binding, the UI automatically refresh when they change, so it's great. And the same for also built-in accessibility and animation. You don't really have to do a lot of stuff to implement them. It comes baked into the framework. What are the cons? Well, it still doesn't have complete feature parity with UIKit or AppKit. We'll show this actually very soon. This also means there are some backward compatibility challenges. As I said before, new APIs are added every year. But this means that usually these APIs only target the latest OS. So if you want to support more than the latest OS, you have to do some workaround, you have to do multiple implementations, or find some hacks. And finally, also, you have some performance cliff, like they are not as performant as UIKit in some cases when there are some complex UI hierarchies. And I also, probably if you actually develop with SwiftUI, you are very familiar with that error over there, which says the compiler is unable to tight check this expression in reasonable time. It means your code is too good for Xcode to read it. That's what I get it every time I see it. It's like, oh, amazing. Like, I'm much better than Xcode because he can't understand me. I must be smart. But no, in reality, like, sometimes it's just a typo, and it's really annoying because Xcode cannot figure it out. So yeah. One thing, when you target macOS, in Xcode, you have a choice to make. You can choose if you use Catalyst or Mac or Design for iPad, if you see on the drop-down there. And if you choose Catalyst, then you have another choice to make. You need to choose between Scale to Match iPad or Optimize for Mac. So in my case, I chose Catalyst, and I will show you the difference between Scale to Match iPad and Optimize for Mac later, see how they compare. This is the only thing that you might need to think about when you develop a multi-platform app for the Mac specifically. So now let's go to see some good things, some code, how I developed this app. So as the main UI, I used navigation split view. Navigation split view is great because it provides you with a 3-column layout, which is customizable. So you have like the sidebar, the content, and the details view out of the box. And you can use them as you please. This was supported on all platforms out of the box. And I really wanted to have an experience similar to the Apple Mail app. So this actually was exactly what I needed for. So how does it look? So this is the iOS and iPhone and iPad UI. On the left, on the iPhone, the navigation split view behave just like single views. You have like the sidebar, then you tap on it, you show the content, you tap on it, and show the details. On the iPad, I actually customized in a way that based on the rotation for portrait is a 2-column layout. If it's landscape, it's a 3-column layout. And they also, it's hard to see, but you have like a toggle at the top left where you can show and hide the sidebar. For macOS and visionOS, I decided to only show a 3-column layout because the display area of Mac or Vision Pro is definitely bigger, so I think this was the best experience for the user. Here you can see the main customization that I was talking about. So the layout you actually pass like a variable when you instantiate navigation split view, and the column visibility variable is based on some condition. In my case, as I said, based on the orientation or the platform. You can customize the width of the column, and as I said before, the toggle, like, actually I didn't show, let me go back 1 second, that on macOS and visionOS there is no toggle to hide and show the sidebar. And you basically use this property like toolbar removing sidebar toggle to remove that button. One important thing about multi-platform development are directives. These allow you to target the code specifically for a platform. In this case are the one in brown color. For example, if target environment is Mac Catalyst or OS is visionOS, the navigation split view column width is 310, and on the toolbar I remove the sidebar toggle. Otherwise, the width is 290. One thing to notice is that when you target Mac Catalyst, you cannot use if OS macOS, which will come naturally, but you need to remember to use if target environment Mac Catalyst, and it always catch me off guard. If you're thinking having a lot of directives will become messy very quickly and confusing, you're absolutely right. My code is like so messy all the time, but luckily you can actually tidying up. You can have extension, for example, that can take some specific values based on the platform, or in the right code example, you can see that you can actually have a specific view based on the platform. If iOS show this body, if else, macOS or whatever it is, show this other body. I try to not use that. I actually don't use that because, as I said before, I'm lazy, and I don't want to have multiple views per platform. But you might need to, so you can do that. One other thing to consider when developing for multiple platform is the behavior is different in some cases. As an example, in my app I have a list with a list of articles, and when I tap I load the article. And on iPhone I can use the onAppear to maybe call some API or do something. But on older platform like iPadOS or macOS, the onAppear will only be triggered the first time, because then the second and third time, the screen is already there, it already appears. So in that case, you can use the onChange and listen to the list selection change. Finally, one other thing that I change and customize is the model. The model looks kind of great on iPhone, but it kind of looks out of place to me in macOS or iPadOS in general. It's just a square. I make it a little bit bigger in this case. You can see there are like 800 by 800 pixels for macOS or visionOS. Here on iPad, I will show the difference side by side. It's bigger, so it looks a little bit better. There is more content. It still looks a little bit off. I would like, maybe if could slide from the side, the same way on the iPhone slide from the bottom. It would be nice to slide from the side. It would be more native. Just a thought, maybe next year. Some other special cases where my initial condition were not met. SF Safari View Controller, this is only available on iOS and iPadOS, and is only a UEI kit implementation. So On macOS and visionOS, I just open directly the Safari app, which is okay because they are multi-window operating systems, so it doesn't look bad. And then I just wrapped it around a UI hosting controller, and it works fine. Similar for WK Web View. This was only available in UIKit. Now, with OS 26, Apple introduced a great SwiftUI web view, but since I wrote this app last year, it was not available. So I just wrapped it around the UI hosting controller. It's fine. It works natively on all the platforms, so I didn't have any issue. UI impact feedback generator is only available on the iPhone because of the hardware is available on the iPhone. And extensions are not supported on visionOS. visionOS is still pretty new, so there are some frameworks, some APIs that are not supported, and extension is one of them. I have an extension in my app that allow to summarize YouTube videos, but I had to disable for visionOS. Now, let's see some details about macOS-specific quirks that I had to go through, and the differences between what I said at the beginning, between scale to match iPad and optimize for Mac. So they both require kind of a compromise. When you select scaled for iPad, it kind of works out of the box. It doesn't really need a lot of customization, but the app doesn't really look as native. If you select Optimize for Mac, the app does look more native, but it really requires a lot of customization. Let me show you actually what I mean. Here on the left side, you can see the scale for iPad version, and on the right side, you can see Optimize for Mac. At a first glance, they don't look very different. And also, it's quite small here, sorry. Like on the screen, usually when you actually run the app, like it looks a little bit better. But I highlighted a couple of things already. Like at the top, there are two red circles, which are about the toolbar. When you select Optimize for Mac, the toolbar is your main enemy. It never works. In this case, if you see, there is a circle on the left where there is an icon missing. There is a menu icon there that doesn't show up. On the right, the icon is there, but it's a different size, the share icon. And in general, it's happening very constantly on Optimize for Mac. The toolbar icons are not showing up or in different places or different sizes. Yeah, it's a lot. But it's not only that. Like if you see, the article selected is the same, but you cannot see the selection in the Optimize for Mac because it's below the list. It's the last article on the list on the left. This is because the font scaling is different. The iPad app has more information density, which you might think is good, but it's actually a little bit too small. Like when you run it on non-retina display and an external display, it looks a little bit off. It still looks fine. If you don't see side by side, you can use it and it's not a big deal. But when you see side by side, you can notice the difference. You can also see that the paddings on the list are much bigger or optimized for Mac. And the font size in the article itself is bigger. You can see it better. So overall, the Optimized for Mac looks a little bit more native, but there is a lot of workarounds and specific platform codes that you have to do if you want to support this. And it's something that, because I'm lazy, as I said before, I try to do, but it was a lot. Let me go through something. So toolbar, we already talked about. Padding for rows and headers, like is something that you have to check for every screen. Every time the padding is a little bit different on the macOS, and you had to add platform-specific code every time. Buttons are automatically translated to the Mac style, which is great. You can have a custom UI button if you want. You just need to specify plain style. Fonts, pixel density, we went through that before. Safari extension is also a little bit complicated when you need to set it up. It doesn't work out of the box. Need to add some specific info list keys, and you need to add a specific icon. I still don't really know how it works. There is not a lot of documentation. Like we were talking about documentation before, there's not a lot of documentation on that as well. And finally, gesture. On the macOS, people might have the touchpad or the magic mouse, but a lot of people has like a normal mouse, and in that case, they cannot access some functionalities that might be behind the gesture. For example, the pull to refresh, you cannot do it with a mouse. So I added a specific button that refresh the list of articles in macOS. Here are some example of issue with the optimized for Mac. Like if you can see on the left images, the padding now is like, there's no padding at the top, like it's really too small. And on the right images, the done button doesn't say done, it just say D and 3 dots. So this is to highlight that every single screen has these issues every time, and it becomes some sort of like a game of cat and mouse, and every time you make a change, you have to go and see and check if the platform-specific code works, make other changes. So eventually I decided to not use optimized for Mac, but scale to match iPad, because it works, and it's still a good experience. Something totally different, totally the opposite of what visionOS. This really worked well out of the box. visionOS has this great spatial UI. It's amazing. I never developed for that, and I was like, oh, how do I do it? What should I do? Maybe I need to call some spatial API or something, but no. It works out of the box. And my app doesn't really take advantage of any specific spatial APIs, but it's great that you can still build and run a normal apps to read news on the Vision Pro without actually any specific code. A few things to notice though, the buttons and the highlights. On visionOS, you highlight with your eyesight. So if you have a customization on the button, the highlights might not show up or have like a strange shape. And also the buttons tend to be translated into the visionOS design language. The only thing I need to customize here was the background of the web view. By default, it's just background color, which is white or black, depending. I mean, there's white and black on the iPhone, but on visionOS there is no white and black. It's only this transparent. And I wanted to make it transparent because it's much more readable. The icon is one thing that also you have to do specifically for visionOS. It uses a 3-layer icon because it looks better in 3D. This year also Apple launched Icon Composer, which is great, except it doesn't support visionOS icon, which I find this weird because like it has multiple layers, but I still need to develop, use a different icon for visionOS. I don't know why, maybe next year. So yeah, overall, as I said, it was much easier than expected. It worked out of the box. One thing to highlight is that the experience between simulator and device is quite big. I was lucky enough that my company had Vision Pro in the office and I could try. And while the simulator is very good to set up the basics and see if everything works, when I actually used on the Vision Pro, I could actually see that how the experience is different. I decided to change a little bit the fonts, some paddings, some UI changes that you can only see if you use an actual device. Okay, we are almost there. Bear with me for a little bit more. Now we are going through the App Store. This was a great experience. I think everybody here loved the App Store and App Store reviews, right? Because this is good news, because when you have 3 platforms, you need to go through 3 reviews, 1 per platform. So since we all love to go through 1 review, why not go 3, right? One thing though. The reviews are done by 3 different teams, and they use 3 different policies, apparently. So what do I mean for that? Like, let me explain it a bit. Before, let me clarify one thing. When you develop and publish an app on the App Store which use multiple platforms, there is some info that are shared across all the platform. Something like title, subtitle, age rating, categories. These are all shared, and they propagate across all platform. And then you have a specific per platform information, like, for example, release notes, screenshots, description. OK, so you have this distinction. So this means that the title, for example, is the same, is shared across all platforms. And when I released the version 2 of my app, I added a functionality that allows you to subscribe to Reddit feeds or YouTube feeds. And because I wanted to take advantage of ASO, the App Store optimization, I put in the subtitle YouTube, Reddit, RSS feed. And then I submitted to the App Store, and iOS was approved, visionOS was approved, but macOS was rejected. And it was rejected, I went to check why, after 3-4 hours, just like a very short distance. I went to check why, and they say, you cannot use names of third-party application in your title or subtitle. And I went back to check, and my app was already been approved with the same subtitle, and that was available on iOS. And the name also propagated already on macOS, so it was already there. So I replied to them. I was like, thank you for letting me know. I just want to clarify that the app has already been approved with that name, is already on the App Store, so do I need to change for real? And Apple kindly replied saying that you can't really use previous approval experience as absolute, and the policy changes constantly. So please change the name, don't name any other apps in your subtitle, resubmit, and you will pass review. And so I did. I did that. I resubmit, I changed the name, I resubmitted, and the review passed. But I didn't let it there. I submitted again on iOS with the previous subtitle saying Reddit, YouTube, RSS feeds. And then it propagated to macOS App Store. So this is to highlight how sometimes Apple is very disconnected internally. Like a few hours ago, like one team approved my app with the same title, and after a few hours, another review team rejected it. It was very funny. And this happened constantly. I thought like it was one-off. I tried again after a month. I tried again after 2 months, and it was constant. Every time the macOS version was always being rejected. I kind of gave up now. I removed that because I don't want to deal with the rejection every time and I have to change. But yeah, it would be nice if they can align on these policies. Also, quick shout out to Helm. Has been nominated, has been notified. It's been already been shout out before, but it's a great app, especially when you are managing multiple platforms. You can copy from other platforms the information, translation, screenshot, done very automatically, and it's much faster than dealing with App Store Connect. And I'm not really affiliated or with them. It's just I didn't know them before last night, so this is just like a genuinely appreciation from a developer who used like an app that makes my life much easier. Now we're almost at the end. Let's see if my hard working was worth it. And I mean, this was like mostly like for learning experience, for fun, so definitely worth it in my case. But let's see what some metrics says. I take 1,000 downloads as an example. It's not a very popular app. This was like 10 days of downloads for about a month ago when I make these slides. And as you can see, maybe it's small, but at the top of download is the iPhone is over 60%, which is as expected. But the second platform, most downloaded platform, is actually desktop. It's macOS. So this means that it's actually quite nice. And actually, also, Apple Vision has a 3.5%, which is not bad, considering there are like 12 people on Earth who own Apple Vision Pro. So, like, it's quite nice. So yeah, also like if you see like in general like these metrics, like it means that having an extra platform, extra two platform, you still attract more users that you might have not considered initially. Even if you check the sales, like almost 15% of revenue comes from non-iOS or iPadOS devices. So something to consider. So finally, what are some takeaways? So Swift and SwiftUI support across multiple Apple platforms is really good. You also have a lot of baked-in APIs, like in-app purchases, iCloud Sync. It's something I called indie dev friendly, because I do this as spare time, as a hobby, and I don't have time and resources to use specific third-party framework implementation tools, and having everything that works on one specific UI, one specific framework, it's great. What is bad? Well, you still have some limited customization, especially if you want to have one single UI. You can get away with have multiple views for platforms, but if you do that, maybe like it's worth considering actually having native apps on different platforms. There are some catalyst quirks on macOS that highlighted before, and then also the three separated view is something that really is like a little bit of a pain every time. So overall, I would say that it's worth it if your main platform is on iOS and iPadOS. It's definitely worth it to just like expand to visionOS and macOS using Catalyst. It's not that hard, and you can get some downloads that you might not have before. But if you have an app that the main target is macOS, I probably recommend you to just use AppKit, native AppKit, and have a specific binary, specific app. And that's all for me. And finally, we have time for coffee now.
All right. Before we have coffee, we might have questions. Oh, yeah. Two other. Oh, yeah.
Hi. Oh, thank you so much for the talk. It was amazing.
Thank you.
I've got two questions. The first one, please share the link. Where did you get the T-shirt from?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
And the second one, how did you get 12 impressions on iPod?
12 impressions?
Yeah, I saw on the previous slide you got 12 impressions from iPod. Yeah.
Yeah, so iPod, I don't know. Actually, it is also what like, it was the same question I had, like, the fun thing is that my app target iOS 18, and now it's only iOS 26. Does iPod run on iOS 18?
Maybe there's
iPod Nano?
I don't know.
Maybe there's an iPod we don't know.
Yeah, I actually don't know. Maybe it's maybe some Apple testing engineers could be like a review devices. I don't know.
Do you plan to support iPods?
I will look into that.
Maybe
Thank
AirPods.
you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Arcadius has a question.
Hello. So my question is about the menu bar, because recently in iPadOS 26 they've included the menu bar from the Mac, similar to what's on the Mac. And when you develop a Catalyst app, do they allow you to make it so that you can share the menu bar across macOS and iPadOS, or no? Because I haven't had time to look at it.
Yeah, I didn't use that actually. But the menu bar, you mean the one at the top?
Yes.
Like
File, edit, view.
Yeah, so that one is there by default. Like if you use a window mode, I actually didn't look into that as well. I don't use it. I just wanted to have like a specific Apple experience, Apple Mail experience with the 3-column layout. But something I should look into that. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Like I didn't think about that. This was before S26, and this is something I will add to my backlog. Thank you for making me notice it.
Sure, thanks.
All right. I think we're good for the coffee. So another round of applause, and then
Thank you.
we'll see you later. See you in like 25 minutes or something.